A few weeks ago, I tweeted that if the Super Monkey Ball official Twitter followed me, I would do a retrospective on the Super Monkey Ball series. Well, as it turns out, that didn't happen, but I want to do this anyway, so surprise, I'm back. My excitement for Super Monkey Ball Banana Mania is so damn high that I just could not resist myself. I love this franchise, or at least parts of it, and it's a natural next retrospective for me following my Pikmin retrospective. Please no one point out that it's been 2 years? Okay, good. The plan is for this to take up the rest of 2021, although this and Super Monkey Ball Jr. are probably the only episodes I'll be able to get out while working on the shovelware movie. I won't be covering Banana Blitz again, since I talked about the Wii and HD versions in depth last January, and I unfortunately can't do a full review on Banana Splits since I can't play it. However, I will be re-reviewing Super Monkey Ball Adventure, since I don't really consider the shovelware episode to be a formal review, and I don't think anyone does either. Anyways, let's not get too ahead of ourselves, since today we're looking at where the series began, cliche thing to say, but whatever, which was, despite the title of this video, not Super Monkey Ball, but just Monkey Ball, released in the arcade in June 2001. It's not so different from the GameCube title we're going to be looking at today, and I don't have a way to play it, so we're not doing a separate video on it, but I'll be sure to point out some differences in this video as we go along. Super Monkey Ball is pretty much a port of this arcade game, with a few added bonuses. Released in late 2001 for the Nintendo Gamecube as a launch title, this was the first Sega game on a Nintendo platform, a milestone that cannot be understated. Super Monkey Ball and Nintendo have become so synonymous by now that some people even confuse Nintendo as the developer for the franchise. Super Monkey Ball is a simple concept, but its simplicity is what I think makes it so enriching and so enjoyable. Unlike many games of today, there's only really one control function, which is moving with the control stick, which controls the stage around you, not the monkey. This always messed with my mind, since it felt like to me I was controlling the monkey itself, and it's still weird for me to conceptualize. The physics are great, and what makes Super Monkey Ball so replayable and so satisfying. The GameCube controller is to Super Monkey Ball what something like the Wiimote is to Skyward Sword. With its notches and amazing sensitivity, it's the perfect playstyle for something like this, and I can't see how anything will match it again. It controls like a dream, and every time I fail, it's my fault. Don't like it? Cry about it. You messed up. Starting with the main game, there are 3 options: beginner, advanced, and expert. My favorite thing about this is that they're all open from the get-go. No need to play beginner to get advanced, no need to play advanced to get expert, and so on. If you are a returning veteran of the franchise, this is a nice system, and I miss when games were like this. You get what's advertised with each mode. It never feels like any of the levels in the mode step outside what they actually are. Beginner and advanced are really nice paced. I think expert's pacing is not the best. The first 5 levels are pretty easy, but some of the following levels are some of the most difficult levels in the entire series. Expert 7 is infamous for being a pain. It's an endurance early on and has you focusing so intensely. When you get past Expert 7, Expert 9 isn't much easier. I really don't like the pacing mode of Expert as such. It feels like the hardest levels are placed in the wrong time. I don't think these levels would be bad in late game, but it sets a somewhat frustrating tone for the expert mode, since when I play, I usually end up losing about half of my lives with 40 levels to go. This isn't a big deal, and I do like the challenge factor, but I think it gets difficult a bit too early. You can buy additional continues with your play points, which I'll talk about in a bit. The next levels that follow are not nearly as bad and go back to being challenging and satisfying, so it's not the biggest deal in the world, just a few levels feel out of place. If you beat beginner and advanced without losing a single life, you are treated to a few more bonus levels. Going through advanced without losing a single life can be pretty difficult, but beginner is a cinch as you can imagine. The same system is in place for expert, but instead of 1 life, it's without a continue, which I actually really like. Expert specifically encourages you to pick up bananas, which are littered throughout the stages. Sponsored by none other than Dole. Beginner and advanced, if you die anyways, an extra life, it becomes like sort of pointless, and you only get points, so I guess it's not pointless. Throughout the stages, there are bonus levels, usually on every 10th level. However, level 5 is the sole exception in all 3 modes. I like the bonus stages a lot, however, it is a little lame that floors 5, 10, and 20 are all reused in each mode instead of making custom levels for each difficulty. The level design is very much arcade-based. Lots of the levels seem to be recreated in their subsequent difficulties, and I really like this idea. It really does feel like they crafted each mode to be given appropriate challenge, and I think the system is quintessential Monkey Ball. That is hard to see gone in the later entries. Some levels have alternative goals that let you skip some levels. I find these to be a mixed bag as a player. On one hand, these levels are so much fun that it's almost a bit sad to imagine skipping out of them. I almost feel guilty, like, oh, I'm cheating myself of not being able to finish the whole game. You can also risk skipping bonus stages by going through them, since sometimes they warp you to a level beyond a multiple of 10, which isn't a huge deal, but if you needed or wanted the bananas, tough luck, dude. Some of these warp goals are pretty massive. I remember one in advance skipped like 7 levels and wasn't even hard to get to if you know the trick. I do think at points the lack of control options can be quite difficult to manage. You aren't given any camera functionality, which on some levels is annoying to play around. I was actually pressing L in vain that it would center the camera, but it would not. I would have really liked a camera, but when you consider it was an arcade game and maybe was going to be ported to the Dreamcast, which didn't have a second stick, it's honestly forgivable. Actually, in the arcade version of this game, you control with a giant banana stick, which is remarkable and interesting, I guess. I always wondered, like, is that weird to control since it's curved? Or does it just feel normal and it's just a gimmick? I don't know. I feel like I would play off with that. So there actually is one button that does something. Pressing A in the GameCube controller has you zoom in and out of a mini-map, which isn't always the most important function, but for levels with many layers, it's almost necessary and difficult to imagine playing without. One little touch I loved about this game and wish would come back at some point is that when you finish a level, you can see the next level above you. It's not important, but it's a cute touch, although sometimes you just hit your head on something. Now I feel bad for giving the monkey a concussion. The levels themselves are engaging and fun to play. Some of them are legitimate puzzles, like this level that's just a Sega logo. For some reason, there are lots of levels that are a bunch of straight lines of varying lengths, and I'm pretty sure that the smallest paths are outright impossible. If you can do this, you deserve some kind of Olympic medal or something, seriously. Some of these levels are so memorable to me that playing this game again, I remember tricks I used to do as a kid, like advanced level 30. I just had this instinct to go right. There are always new ideas of these levels too, like the level where you have to move precisely not to get hit by boxing gloves, as the feedback from them comes from your direct movement. The levels in this game are brilliant, and it cannot be understated that this is why this series was as good as it was on the Nintendo Gamecube. If you manage to make it through Expert and its extra stages without a continue, you unlock the Master Mode. Now make fun of me all you want, but I have never been good enough to make it this far using normal means, and I find it to be extremely difficult to make it here. Just because I am good at reviewing games does not mean I am good at games, unfortunately. I did play Master once at a friend's house a few years ago, and I could not get past the first level about it, even with unlimited lives. In tandem with the other modes, Master fits the name of the game, and if you're good enough to make it here, let alone beat it, I would say you are extremely talented and patient, because god damn. Presentation of this game goes way beyond the levels. The credits itself has a minigame, although it's quite long with no way to skip it. I find this annoying when trying to just breeze through a play session a beginner. I'm all for people being credited and it's cute, but having to do this so often gets annoying. After this minigame, the game's arcade prowess shines through yet again as you enter your name. This is kinda overkill for GameCube, but it's charming. Although I have to admit, towards the end, I just didn't bother. Additionally, this game has a full-on practice mode where you can choose every level that you've played, which does give you the tools to get good at the game, and a competition mode where you and some other friends could battle it out on specific levels. The graphics are breathtaking. I still cannot believe this game came out in 2001. It looks like something you could almost get away with releasing to this day if you upgraded a few models. The backgrounds were massively upgraded from the arcade version, which looked more generic. The backgrounds are not only cozy, but beautiful, and my personal favorite thing about them is that instead of the Mario approach of like grass, desert, lava, whatever, they throw a few ideas in here like Burger Cube and the Storm location, one of my favorites in the series. Music in this game accompanies the play so well, and some tracks go way harder than they should. There are 4 players you can play as, AiAi, MeeMee, Baby, and GonGon. There are no real differences between them, which is nice. No one gets an advantage in the game's main mode. The characters are charming and fun, although don't really have any character development unless you read the manual, which it's 2021, manuals don't exist anymore. They also dance when you win something in a minigame, which is awesome. GonGon is actually new to the GameCube version, was not in the arcade release. This rounds it out to a nice, even number of 4, which every game mode allows for 4 players. As alluded to, there are 6 alternative games in this collection. They are separated into party games and minigames, but I have no clue what the distinction is that separates them. The party games are unlocked from the get-go, but to play the minigames, you need to use play points you earn from the main mode. You can't earn play points when you play with people, only alone, which I always found a little bit lame. I get that they don't want you to cheese the system, but I always thought when playing with others, what if they just lowered the points each additional player gets? Like if you're with people and you just open the game and you want to play the party games, you gotta be like, hey, just let me play for an hour, you guys sit in the corner, you can't earn party points with me. And then they leave your house. Party games are fun, but pretty mindless, I must say. Monkey Racing is cheesy enjoyment, but not super in-depth. It's your standard kart racer with some pretty sweet items. Monkey Fight, more or less the same, but it's a fighting game. The power-ups here are also creative. The games don't have an insane amount of replay potential or substance, and aren't really fun in single player to be honest, but for party games, they're a real treat. Monkey Target is a classic, but one that I'm just horrible at. I don't know if it's just me, but I can never land or predict where I wanted to land. At the start of each round, you spin a wheel to see what condition you will get, whether it's, hopefully nothing, fog, bombs, or spikes. It's not too fun alone, honestly, like I said, but hey, gotta get the game footage anyways during the pandemic, and it would be irresponsible to have people over right now, plus, yeah, I don't have friends. Mini games are much more in-depth, and what I think are surprisingly immersive. Monkey Billiards is great, with awesome music and scenery, but I do think the ball colors are kind of hard to see, and the physics always felt kind of weird to me. It's pretty funny because the monkeys are in the balls when you hit them still, so every time you have a shot, you just hear a bunch of screaming. Monkey Bowling is whatever. It's your standard bowling game, but I think it's a bit off. It's not bad, but just not something I could see myself coming back to. The idea and controls are somewhat normal, but you can swing yourself left or right after you hit the shot, which makes it kind of a weird bowling experience. I don't know. My absolute favorite is the last we're talking about, being Monkey Golf. This is so much fun, more fun than it has any right to be. I feel like they can make an entire game based off of this, and it would work very well. The physics are not perfect, but what you would expect regardless. The course designs are creative and colorful, and again, the music is really good. Seriously, if you're going to play any Monkey Ball minigame by yourself, it's this one, and probably with friends as well. It does make me feel bad though. When you go over par, people boo you. All in all, these minigames are incredible content. They went above and beyond just porting the levels for this package and added some very in-depth content. What I like about these minigames, as opposed to the other ones we got later in the series, is that they seriously try to take advantage of the monkey and the ball concept and use the subsequent physics instead of rock, paper, scissors, or red light, green light, or AiAi pays his taxes, I don't know. Each minigame matters, whether or not they are that fun, they are charming, and each deserves a place in this series. Anyways, that's Super Monkey Ball. It's a great game, seriously. It's difficult, yeah, but it's an arcade port, so probably what you should expect from one. It's a classic game and one that sets the series on a great path. Not one of those little thin ones, one of the good ones. We're going to do things a little out of order coming up due to the shovelware movie coming out soon. I won't really be able to tackle Super Monkey Ball 2 as soon as I'd like to, since that video will take a lot more time and work to do. So instead, we're going to be taking a little detour doing something that's a little simpler, looking at Super Monkey Ball Jr. for the Game Boy Advance. Now, I gotta relive this game myself, because I haven't played this in like 15 years, but it's essentially a demake of Super Monkey Ball, so meet me back here. We'll take a look at it in a few weeks. See you guys then. And be sure to follow and subscribe and everything. Like, you know, all YouTubers deep down kind of hate asking to do that, but it really does make a difference. So make sure you hit the subscribe button. I'm going to try to upload a lot more content this year. And yeah, I really would appreciate that.